Andy Blocker is Global Head of Public Policy at Invesco. You're here with me, which is great on a day like this. What would your message be to investors who maybe have front run a little bit of what you're about to say as the market kind of comes back here?
Yeah, I think what the market's doing right now, the big story has been the tariffs, that they're actually going to be implemented with Mexico and Canada. But if you look at most of the investment community, they're saying that this probably is temporary. They're not seeing them as permanent. They're seen as President Trump saying, hey, last time I put them off. This time I'm for real. So they take me seriously going forward. And then he'll find a way out at some point. The question is, what's that timeline?
Yeah. Because so there's sort of two tracks of this. There's the track of businesses going, well, we just don't want tariffs, period. And then the track of businesses going, well, we can work with anything if we just know it's basically a permanent change. So, I'm sure they'd still say, look, we'd still rather not have them. But if you put them in effect for a week and then you're going to take them off, I mean, I don't think people are going to be thrilled with that either.
No, I think that creates a lot of volatility. As you saw in the first term, especially with China, there was a lot of volatility in the markets while they were figuring out what they were. But once they determined the price, just one-time price change. The thing here is that it's everywhere, everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not just China, it's Mexico, Canada, our closest partners, and Europe potentially. And so where do you go? And if you're trying to make investments, where do you make the investment? Unless you're investing in the U.S., then this is only a certain place.
But the markets here don't look that great. The markets look better in Europe.
Well, at least for the supply chain. If you're doing all your manufacturing in the U.S., you have some certainty. If you have any kind of supply chain that's anywhere else, it's really tough to make that strategic decision. Yeah,
so you think basically this is, to some extent, for show, and we're not going to actually end up in a situation where we have 25% Mexico, 25% Canada, and 33% China.
Yeah, it's partly for show, but it's also to send a signal to Europe and China, hey, I'm coming for you. And if I'm willing to do it with Mexico and Canada, I'm definitely willing to do it with you.
So that they give more concessions, they treat it seriously and don't just say, yeah, he's going to delay it if we just kind of, okay, fine. So then let's talk for a second about something else that might come up tonight as vis-a-vis Ukrainian defense and all the rest of it. The U.S. defense stocks have sold off this week, while the European ones have obviously rallied quite sharply. Would you say anything to investors there? I mean, do you think that is giving us a preview of the new world order, so to speak?
I think long term, yes, we've definitely initiated a move for Europe to actually finally start creating their own European industrial military complex. However, that's going to take a lot of time. And even though Trump has withdrawn the current funding for Ukraine, once they get back to the mineral deal table and head towards peace again, they're going to be back, and the U.S. defense stock should come back at least in the short term. Long term, that's another story.
Well, listening to you, I feel like we have no problems and everything's solved, and everyone's just freaking out for no reason. What about the government shutdown? You can add that to the list of concerns. Potentially, what is it, March 18th, something like that?
March 14th is the deadline. The Republicans are working on a deal to try to figure that out, but normally they need Democratic votes, and right now Democrats are not as interested in working with them. Democrats are trying to say hold back, whereas some Republicans think, hey, if we put a clean CR out there, there's some Democrats who are going to feel emboldened or that they necessarily have to vote for that. So that remains to be seen. A lot of people are baking in some type of shutdown. And so, I mean, remember the last administration, the time Trump was in, we had the longest shutdown in history of plus 30 days. I'm not sure we're going to do that, but I think there's going to be some wrangling over that.
So we have that to look forward to. I know we got to go. Anything else you'd be listening for tonight? Any curveballs?
I think to the extent that President Trump can put in some certainty on his direction would be really helpful for markets and investors.